Well, it's really the same stupid logic where I was talking about where, Gavin was saying punch people. When you punch people, it doesn't end there.
Oh,
and
yeah, they punch
back. Ban them. It doesn't end there. It doesn't end there.
Yeah.
You have to realize also, Twitter is how old now? 11 years old? 12 years old? 13 years old? 13 years old. Well, 13 years from now, what are the odds that there's not going to be something else just like it?
Well,
pretty slim.
Depends on how we do.
Yeah, listen.
Be a million.
But let's talk about the incestuous relationship that a lot of these journalists have in defending the policies you guys push. Gab, it was a study was done. I talked about this last time, where they found 5% of the I don't want to say tweets, but the posts on Gab were hate speech compared to Twitter's like 2.4. So it's a marginal increase. Yet Gab is called the white supremacy network.
Of course,
you go on it, and yeah, absolutely, it exists. They say that synagogue shooter. Oh, he was a Gab user. He was a Twitter user too. He posted on Twitter all the time. So why the media is targeting? It's such a crazy nightmarish reality. It is
reductive narrative.
When the Guardian, I believe it was the Daily Mail, called Count Dankula a Nazi hate criminal. It's
I saw that.
Dude literally made a joke on YouTube, and he was arrested. I thank God every day we have the First Amendment in this country.
Well, there was a cover of a newspaper that was because he got a new job somewhere.
He got fired
for that.
He got kicked off the show.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have
because of trying to get his pub.
Look, let me ask you another thing. Do you guys take the advice of the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Do we take the advice of them?
So it's widely circulated. The SPLC lobbies various social platforms to ban certain people. They advise. It's been reported they advised YouTube, as does the Anti-Defamation League. Do you use them in your decision-making process, rule development?
We're very aware of flaws with certain of their research, and we're very careful about who we take advice from.
But do you take advice from them?
I think that they have certainly reached out to our team members, but there's certainly nothing definitive that we take from them.
We don't take direction.
You never take an action based on information received from them?
No.
So the reason I bring them up specifically is that they're cited often, in the United States. There's other groups like Hope Not Hate in the UK, and now they're all going to point their, figurative guns at me for saying this. But the Southern Poverty Law Center wrote an article where they claimed I went to Iran for a Holocaust deniers conference, and I've never been to Iran. And their evidence was this guy found an archived website from a Holocaust denier with my name on it, and that was their proof. And there are people who have been labeled, extremists by this organization that have been,
Sam Harris.
Sam Harris was
yeah.
Didn't they lose a big lawsuit around this as well?
They settled.
Recently?
Yeah. So again, not to imply that you guys do use it, but I ask specifically because it's been reported other organizations do. So we have activist organizations. We have journalists that I can attest are absolutely activists because I worked for Vice, I worked for Fusion. I was told implicitly, not explicitly, to lie, to side with the audience, as it were. I've seen the narratives they push, and I've had conversations with people that I'm gonna keep relatively off the record. Journalists who are terrified because they said the narrative is real. Right? One journalist in particular said that he had evidence of essentially, he had reason to believe there was wrongdoing, but if he talks about it, he could lose his job. And there was a journalist who reported to me that Data and Society admitted their report was incorrect. And now you've got organizations lobbying for terminating Joe and I because of this stuff. So this narrative persists. Then you see all the actions I mentioned before, and all the organizations saying we're doing the right thing. And I got to say, we're living in I feel like we're looking at the doorway to the nightmare dystopia of.
Yeah. I just want to clarify. I don't know if we're going around saying we're necessarily doing the right thing. We're saying why we're doing what we're doing. And
right.
That's what we need to get better at. And I don't want to hide behind what we believe is the right thing. We have to clearly rationalize why we're making the decision we're making, and more of that. That to me is the prevention from this snowflake avalanche metaphor.
Well, but I think it's just obvious to point out, again, I said this before, we can have the calm conversation and I can understand you, but from where I'm sitting, you hold a vastly different ideology than I do, and you have substantially more power in controlling my government. That terrifies me. And what makes it worse is that a Saudi prince owns, at least was reported, that a Saudi prince owns a portion of that company. So I'm sitting here like just a little American, can't do anything to stop it. I'm just watching this unaccountable machine churn away, and you're just one snowflake in that avalanche. All these other companies are as well. And I'm like, well, here we go. This is going to be a ride. The avalanche has started.
As Vijay said, that Saudi prince doesn't have any influence.
But am I supposed to trust that? That's the issue, right? I'm not trying to insinuate he's showing up to your meetings and telling you what to do, but when someone dumps $1 billion in your company, I think it's silly to imply that they don't at least have some influence.
Yeah.
But regardless.
And unlike the internet, within a company like ours, you don't necessarily see the protocol, you don't see the processes, and that is an area where we can do a lot much better.
I guess, beat it over the head a million times, beat the dead horse. I think ultimately, yeah, I get what you're doing. I think it's wrong. I think it's terrifying, and I think we're on the avalanche already. It's happened, and we're heading down to this nightmare scenario of a future where it terrifies me when I see people who claim to be supporting liberal ideology burning signs that say free speech, threatening violence against other people. You have these journalists who do the same thing. They accuse everybody of being a Nazi, everybody of being a fascist. Joe
That's
Rogan,
a
for
giant
Christ.
issue.
And you're like a socialist, as far as I know. You're like UBI proponent.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm very.
I'm
liberal.
being facetious.
I'm
being
very
facetious.
liberal. And except for Second Amendment, that's probably the only thing that I disagree with a lot of liberals on.
And then you see what the media says about everybody. You see how they call Jordan Peterson all day and night alt-right. The alt-right hates him.
Yeah.
And this narrative is used to strip people of their income, to remove them from public discourse. And
well, it's foolish because ultimately, upon examination, like you were saying, that sunlight is the best disinfection.
Absolutely.
And upon examination, you realize that this is not true at all, and that these people look foolish, like the Data in Society article.
No. All these organizations publish that as fact without looking at any data.
Maybe some did, but anybody.
Some dozens.
But yeah, maybe.
And no, they're still citing it.
We're talking about millions and millions of people. Who are these people that are still citing it?
Guardian.
Well, clang
Fast
the
Company.
bell and start yelling shame.
But so
Because that's
look,
foolish.